on the occasion of India's 75th Independence Day on August 15 this year. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi predicted that his country would overtake Japan and Germany to become the world's third largest economy in the coming years. With a 7% economic growth rate, a $3.469 trillion GDP, $537.52 billion in foreign exchange reserves, $311.82 billion in exports, $100 billion in foreign direct investment, $8 billion in income from tourism, $87 billion in remittances, and $156.7 billion in income from IT exports, it is possible that India's economy will continue to grow, and that it will pass Germany and Japan to become the world's third largest economy by 2028. According to RBI Deputy Governor Michael Patra, India will match Germany's GDP, just over $4 trillion as of 2021, and become the fourth largest economy by 2025-26, and by 2027, India will surpass Japan, nearly $5 trillion GDP, and become the third largest economy. Patra says that India, which is already the fifth largest economy in the world, ahead of the UK, with a GDP of about $3.2 trillion, is a driver of global growth, and will contribute the second most to global growth in 2022. The Deputy Governor's remarks come just a few weeks after the IMF predicted that Germany and Italy would enter a recession next year. According to the IMF World Economic Outlook, the German economy will shrink by 0.3% in 2023. Germany, Europe's largest economy, is heavily reliant on Russian gas, which Moscow has reportedly reduced in retaliation for Western sanctions. Italy, which is also reliant on Russian fuel imports, is expected to see its GDP contract by 0.2%, compared to the 0.8% growth forecast in July. Reasons why India might become the largest economy. India believes it will become the world's largest economy by 2047, surpassing China and the US. While it may seem strange and wishful, but the reality on the ground may support what many Indians believe will be their country's #1 economic power in the next 25 years. When it comes to the world's strongest economies, the United States and China tend to dominate discussions, but India is beginning to shift the focus due to their incredible economic growth over the last decade and their limitless potential for the future. But is it realistic to expect India, which some still consider a developing country, to overtake the world's most dominant and strongest economy and top producer anytime soon? Let us look at the factors that will drive India in that direction. India's primary asset is its people. India's people are generally much younger than China's aging population. In fact, about 65% of India's total population are younger than 35. India's workforce has unmatched potential due to its size and current economic climate. Another indicator is India's economy is improving as poverty rates fall. Poverty remains a widespread issue in India, with 12.4% of the population living below the international poverty line, which means they live on less than $1.90 per day. However, according to the United Nations, India has lifted 415 million people out of poverty in the last 15 years, that is between 2005 and 2021. Although India still has a long way to go in addressing poverty, but this trajectory is positive for India's future economy. Increased urbanization is another piece of evidence for India's potential economic growth. Today, agriculture employs 50% of India's workforce, but low wages and declining land fertility have gradually driven people from rural areas to seek better opportunities in cities. Over 830 million people are expected to live in India's city centers by 2050. According to the World Bank, urbanization stimulates economic growth by increasing demand for both urban businesses and agricultural products, thereby contributing to overall poverty reduction. Economists predict that China will overtake the United States as the world's largest economy by 2032, and that India will surpass both the United States and China by 2050. However, economies are dynamic and complex. They are influenced by a variety of factors, such as population, regulations, global events, politics, and industry trends. But, if you're wondering whether this is feasible for India, the answer is yes. And the question is, will they do everything required to sustain their growth and make it happen?